invited by our Coastal Bend Republican Club for us to come up here to do a job. Today's the day that we either hand it over or we keep it. I say we keep it, and I'm pissed off because I came here, I said goodbye to my children yesterday and my family thinking that I'm willing to do whatever it takes. The Republicans have turned on us, and we're done. This is what happens when you piss off 74 million people. A lot of wars, but a lot of men died for our freedom, okay? Why should today be any different? This is a war!
I'm Susan Stava. I'm a photojournalist based in New York City. Growing up in my family, there was no shortage of strong opinions. There would be heated conversations with strong and often opposing viewpoints about politics, civil rights, foreign affairs, and basic freedoms. No matter how fiery an argument, there always seemed to be some level of listening, reason, and logic on both sides. Okay, I have to admit that I am a little biased. I leaned left with my mother. She was an ardent, judgment-wielding, Betty Friedan-influenced Democrat. Even though I'm a registered Democrat, my mother always encouraged me to search for the truth, not just settle for the truth I want to hear. During the 2016 presidential campaign, I was having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that so many women were voting for a man and for a party who I believed did not care about their interests.
His policies more aligned with my family needs, and also I love America, I'm an American, and he's for the American people. The women in my family didn't vote because they didn't like either party, but so far I'm the only one in my family that voted.
I realized I could use my training as a journalist to look through another lens and hear other perspectives. So I set out to document women from both parties and really try to listen to what they had to say. Americans have grown increasingly divided among political lines. There is a growing divide between moderates and those with extreme views.
I'm a registered Democrat, disenchanted with what this party has become in the last 10, 12 years, 14 years. And I stand with Trump, I stand with the Constitution, and not with the radical left that the party I used to support has become.
These different factions have trouble, and perhaps little interest in, communicating with each other, and often seem to be simply hurling talking points at one another. Some have attributed this to the proliferation of news sources, including social media. In the past, Americans got their news from the same few shared sources, and people would have disagreements on how it was interpreted. Now there are thousands of places to obtain information. Within the past decade, the fragmentation of viewpoints has come to be no longer based on mere differences of opinion. Different groups have their own narratives based on their own facts. People listen to news and they believe what they want to believe.
You know, news stations identified with a particular point of view, a political point of view, and they, you know, everybody preaching to their choir. And social media complicates that. Sort of what I do is to just make sure people have the confidence in their decision and encourage every voter to try to find that neutral, nonpartisan source for information and to make sure they're getting as much balanced information as possible.
Left without common ground, opposing groups seem to have increasingly defaulted to crude name-calling.
Your day's coming, you communist scumbag! Hunter! You are a really big joke! Get the fuck out of here!
This began to reach a crescendo in the presidential election of 2016. A woman who 100 years ago wouldn't even be allowed to cast a vote now was in the position to take the most powerful seat in America. It seemed like a no-brainer to Democrats, and quite frankly, I didn't think Trump would get any female votes after his misogynist actions before and during the campaign. Sure, Hillary had her downside. She wasn't perfect, and she made a huge misstep when she called people who supported Trump a basket of deplorables. When Donald Trump won the vote on November 3rd, 2016, a new divide formed in the country. I traveled to Washington, D.C. in March of 2017 to document the first Women's March. I went there thinking this would be a platform for women to bond and start coming together. I was surprised to see women polarizing and drawing clear lines in the sand.
Traditional Catholicism! I can't hear you! Traditional Catholicism!
In 2020, all over the country, people took to the streets. They wanted to be heard. People were also ready to bust out of their houses after being quarantined for months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Black Lives Matter activists, women, Trump supporters, Biden supporters, we hadn't seen people riled up like that since the 60s.
Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy.
Women were becoming more outspoken. After covering these events year after year, with eyes open and ears ready to hear, I realized these female Republican voters had concerns I hadn't thought of. What biases were preventing me from understanding the other side? I wanted to hear their stories, their challenges, and whether there was anything that I could relate to.
I'm here at the Trump rally to support our president and what he believes in and what we believe in, which he believes in the American people. He does not believe in doing what the government would expect him to do by supporting his people instead of the government. He protects everybody and anyone, so that's why I'm here to support my president and everybody else's president.
I don't believe that you have to be a woman or a man. I don't believe that. Diversity is unbelievable right now. Everybody's a person. I don't care what color your skin is, if you're a man or a woman. You all have your own ideas. This is freedom. I want my freedom back. I'm tired of everybody telling me what to do and when to do it and how to do it. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. I want to do my own thing.
He's actually done what he said he's going to do. He's not from the political swamp. He's an outsider, and he keeps his promises.
We are facing a lockdown again because we have a Democratic governor and we have a Democratic mayor, and they're still rioting there.
Oh.
And we want Trump so bad.
Yeah.
That if the American people don't wake up and see just how important he is, these children are being trafficked, women are being taken advantage of, and no, we need to stand together and unite as one.
In covering the 2020 election cycle, I did start to see a pattern. Women needed to work and women needed to be independent. They needed to be heard. The nomination and confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court was a disturbing and eye-opening moment for many women. But the nomination of Amy Barrett to the court was an interesting moment to watch unfold in a completely different way. Here you had a woman who was going to sit on the highest court in the land. One of the biggest clashes amongst female voters took place in front of the Supreme Court in October 2020 during the Amy Barrett nomination hearing.
This is not about people. It has never been about people. This is about power. And this is not about the Constitution. This is about control. I care about all lives. That's why I wear a mask. That's why I come here. And that's why I protest for Black Lives Matter. I don't say that I care about lives and then so do this bullshit. This bitch doesn't give a fuck about a 6
Was this divisiveness all about the age-old argument of right to life versus right to choose? Or did it run deeper than that? I found myself wondering, what was democracy at its core, and what did it mean in the current climate? Then, at the MAGA March in November, I met a rep from Code Pink, a lone, brave representative standing with her sign as the Proud Boys passed. This woman wasn't a big Biden fan, but definitely had strong feelings against Trump. She uttered one phrase that caught my ear: our democracy is being challenged.
Well, my main thing was to get Trump out of there because I think he's very dangerous. And I think we were moving as a country towards fascism. And I am delighted that he lost the election, and I feel these people are grieving. And hopefully January 20th this will be resolved. But, you know, we have obviously many people who think that the election was stolen, who love Trump. I have had people say to me that even if he didn't win the election, they still want him in there. And, you know, that's okay, but this is supposed to be a democracy, and I think it's so shameful that he has not conceded.
Is this country not what we thought? Are people comfortable with an autocratic system as long as there is a roof over their heads and food on the table? Are they comfortable with an autocratic system as long as their candidate is the autocrat? Or have they truly lost all faith in the voting system? There's distrust, and how do you allay that people's fears that are absolutely believing that there's so much fraud, their vote doesn't count?
We have to have the confidence that the underpinnings are secure, that our elections are free and open and transparent. Our job is to educate them about their ability to vote, to make sure they have the information to vote with confidence. And that is done by encouraging them to go to a trusted source. The League has a fantastic online voter guide, vote411.org, that is completely nonpartisan.
I love Trump, and I just want to support Trump. Okay. And I just love him so much, and he's the best president in the entire world, and he deserves to win. And all these fake votes, they're just bullshit.
Trump refused to concede the election, and the Republicans filed a flurry of lawsuits. Nearly all were rejected or withdrawn. But regardless of their failure, they seemed to continue to stoke the erosion of public trust. As people got angrier at the system, they began to drive closer towards political turmoil, as evident on January 6, 2021, when the U.S. Capitol was breached for the first time in over 200 years by Americans. What is he offering you in this, as a president?
Well, we get to keep our rights, and I think Joe Biden just wants to take them away.
To support Trump, and also for the election fraud. Okay. And just taking a stand. Okay. It's time to stand.
I'm hoping that they'll do the right thing and that the election will turn and they'll give it to Trump because we voted for him. 85 million of us, and he won. And everything that's going on right now it's fraud. It's bad. It's bad. And if they continue to let this happen, the elections will never be the same.
America is the only country in the world that affords freedom to the people, and the freedom is given to them by a creator. And the government's job is to protect every person's freedom. And what we have here right now are a lot of people who are angry because for 230 years we've been expecting them to protect our freedoms, and they have sold us out. And so I just believe that America is the one last bastion in the world to protect freedoms for everyone. And that's why people come, is to be able to be prosperous and free, and there's no other country in the world that does that.
I don't feel that Trump is a Republican or a Democrat. What I do know, he is a God-fearing patriot. Bottom line.
It's not about Trump. I'm not here about Trump. I mean, Trump's been a very good president. He has worked for the people. But this is about America and our Constitution.
I voted for Biden even though he wasn't my top choice Democratic candidate, because he had the best chance of defeating Trump, and I knew how important that was.
Any Catholic out there, there was 2,500 masses said for Trump before the election. If Joe Biden was such a great Catholic, then why did the Catholic Church not have any masses for Joe Biden? It's important for women to vote, not because women are part of our country, and it's just very, very important that the steal has to stop. It was fraudulently done. If we don't do anything now, then we will never have another free election.
I feel a lot of confidence in Trump. We all do. We also know that it's God who's going to make the final verdict. But the fact is, yeah, there's a safety in knowing that he's in power. And if he doesn't get power back, well, we'll have to think about that then.
Well, democracy hung on in the balance, as did the health and safety of Americans, the world, everything.
My worst fear is that Biden will get elected, and then he'll be replaced by Kamala, and she'll tear this country up. The squad will come in and take over, and life as we know it won't exist anymore. That'll be the end of it.
I kind of anticipated that Trump would do something very unethical to stay in office. So I felt like he was going to do something that would hurt us.
We did it, Joe!
I would say the women that said they voted for Trump, if they did, because of the economy, were probably listening to the wrong news, the not actual news.
We don't know the long-term ramification of any of the negativity about our democracy or about the voting process. We've never been known for great voter turnout in America. So there are a lot of people who don't vote for whatever reason. We have to hope that that commonality of humanity is what's going to get us through this rough point in our democracy. There is hope that our system hasn't been undermined to the point of no return.
After listening to a wide range of women, I realized I have more questions than answers. Are we Democrats able to have conversations with Republicans or vice versa? Is civil discourse a thing of the past? What are we teaching our kids? What will their voting rights look like? Will our kids have the same freedoms we have? Will they live in a world devoid of trust in our political system? Who will they trust? Do we all want the same thing? Will we ever find common ground again?